What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Early Morning PJ Podcast, Week 5. It's Episode 5, and obviously, it's March, so March Madness is coming up next week. We have a lot to talk about in that aspect of things. A lot of conference championships are just now wrapping up today, along with last night. We also have some NFL trades that just occurred probably about an hour to 2 hours ago.
Yeah, 2 hours ago. The Dolphins making moves.
Yep. So we'll get into that a little bit, and then we'll get into some NBA talk. I don't know if you guys saw or know, but Joel Embiid obviously was injured this past week, so we'll get into that injury and break that down for a few minutes as well. So without further ado, we are going to get into our March Madness portion. Obviously, today is Sunday, March 14th. It's Selection Sunday. I believe the tournament starts, I could be wrong about this, but I would want to say Tuesday or Wednesday with the first four. And then we go from there. Obviously, this is a really fun time for college hoops. We love watching the game. It seems like there's a game on every single hour of every single day for a long time. So, Jacob, I want to start by talking some one seeds in college hoops. Who do you think are going to be the one seeds?
Zags, Illinois, Baylor. I mean, they lost. They didn't win the Big 12, but I don't know if that'll factor in too much. Just one loss in their conference tournament. I don't know who the fourth would be. Maybe Michigan? I don't know.
I don't think you can put Michigan in there after losing last night.
I think you could say that about a lot of teams.
Yeah, Alabama
would definitely.
Alabama might win their conference championship, and that just might be enough to punch your ticket to one seed. I definitely like Illinois and Baylor. I definitely believe those two will be the one seeds. But Gonzaga, I mean, they're obviously going to be a one seed. But the problem is, this is their problem every year. They come into the tournament undefeated, if not close to undefeated, and then they seem to kind of fade away when they see real competition when they get into the second and third rounds. I mean, realistically, they're probably going to have a bye in the first round.
Yeah, what is basically a bye?
1 versus 16, and they'll probably obviously win that. But once they get into that second and third round, they're going to see some better competition, and that's when they kind of fade away, typically. So I'll be interested to see, how that plays out for them.
I mean, they might play the Mount St. Mary's.
Oh,
They
really?
win their conference?
Yeah, Mount St. Mary's is a 16. Well, they will be. They'll be in the play-in. So a 1 might play the Mount St. Mary's.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that's. I mean, obviously, there's some really talented players on Gonzaga. Jalen Suggs, probably a top 5 projected pick. But you can't just.
They don't normally have that type of talent, though. It's
well,
normally they do have talent, but not star power. I wouldn't associate.
They're
Gonzaga
always
with
going
star
to have.
power.
That's true. I mean, you're right. I mean, they don't have a guy in the NBA right now that came from Gonzaga and he's an all-star. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I mean, in terms of record, yeah, they're obviously a really, really good team, but at the same time, they haven't played they haven't played any competition for that matter. On the other hand, Baylor has Baylor
Big
Pac-12 or Big 12.
Yeah, that's a good conference.
They have seen some good competition. Kansas.
Oklahoma State.
Not that Kansas is anything special. They obviously had a tough year this year, but they were still ranked for a majority of the season. And then Illinois. Illinois is probably my favorite team right now in college basketball. I believe I touched on it a little last week when I mentioned that I've watched more Illinois basketball in the last 2 weeks than I ever have in my entire life. But
since Darren Williams,
they are so fun to watch. They got Kofi Coburn, he is the leader of that team. He reminds me a lot of Joel Embiid in college. He does. Similar body types, similar they're both big men, but they're really if you look at from a statistic standpoint, they are really similar. In college when Embiid was in college. So I'll be interested to see how Coburn does in the NBA. I believe he's a finalist for the John Wooden Award, which is like the most prestigious award in college basketball.
Luka Garza's award, but
Well, I don't know. Luka Garza is a very, very talented, good, very, very talented player. A big guy who has every aspect that you could ask for when it comes to the game of basketball.
except for speed,
Yeah,
athleticism,
exactly.
getting down the court.
Doesn't have much speed, but can shoot. Obviously can post up in the paint.
He's like
he's a rim
he's a
protector.
traditional big. I mean, he posts up and he jump hooks.
And he has the ability to shoot. Did you see that they're going to retire his jersey?
Yeah, he's the all-time leading Iowa scorer.
I don't know. Like, that's kind of, like,
You
early
gotta,
to determine.
you gotta retire. I mean, he's already their leading scorer. And I say already, he's been there for 4 years, but like...
He's a very gifted player, and he will probably win the John Wooden Award, but there are some, like, Kofi Coburn is not far behind him. Kofi Coburn is having a very, very good year. His team is better than Iowa, in my opinion. They've beaten them. And I don't know.
I don't think very highly of Iowa at all, really.
I mean, they're the fifth best team in the nation right now, so they have a good.
They're
they
ranked
are
fifth.
Yes.
I mean, they're going in.
Rankings are up right here.
Andy Katz has them as a 2 seed, along with Houston.
Yeah,
Bama,
they'll be
and Ohio
they'll be a
State.
2 seed. They're not strong enough. They're not good enough to be 1 seed yet. I think, like I said, I think my favorites for the 1 seed, assuming that Alabama is able to pull out a win today against LSU for that championship in the SEC, my top 4 would be Gonzaga, Baylor, Illinois, and Alabama. Michigan lost last night to Ohio State. I think that puts them
Ohio
out.
State's a good team. It's not like they lost to some bum.
Ohio State's
Yeah.
like ranked 9th though.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna be a 1 seed,
I mean,
you better be either in the conference championship or win it.
Ohio State isn't ranked like a. I mean, they're going in as a 2 seed right now.
They are a good team. I'm not taking anything
Yeah,
away
I
from
mean,
Ohio
it's
State.
like
I'm just saying.
You play what 30 games a season. Like you're not gonna win them all.
Last week, Illinois beat Michigan by 20, and then they came out in this week and they lost in the semifinals to Ohio State, to a team that they've beaten already this year.
Yeah,
this
it's
season. So
college basketball. It happens.
I'm just saying, like I believe Alabama, if they were able to win their conference championship, that would probably be a stronger resume. I mean, if you're looking at the rankings, Alabama is gonna probably win that conference championship over a team like Arkansas, who's ranked 8th in the nation right now. There's some good teams in the SEC, and like I said, I think winning that conference would probably be enough to punch their ticket as a 1 seed. I haven't watched much Alabama this year, but I have heard about them a lot. So I don't know. I'll be interested to see how that plays out seeding wise tonight. I think a lot
6 o'clock tonight, right?
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of that's gonna have to. I mean, you got some conference championship games today. Illinois and Ohio State play today in the Big Ten championship. So a lot of those rankings are going to determine on what happens today. And then you have Houston, who's the 7th ranked team in the nation currently.
They'll probably be a 2 seed.
They will be. I would assume they're a 2 seed.
Yeah.
They're pretty
They
good.
are a 13.5 favorite today against Cincinnati for the.
I think they'll go deep.
Is Cincinnati win or get
American
in,
Conference.
or win and get in, or are they gonna get in?
That's the problem. So here's the problem. I mean, a lot of these small conferences this year decided to play a conference-only schedule. And
Well,
so
that
you're not
doesn't-
seeing much competition.
That doesn't change much. Like conference, like Mount
Well,
St.
for
Mary.
me, it does.
Like Mount St. Mary's, take them for example. Like that conference is you have to win your conference to get in. No team is.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if they play conference only. They have to win their conference to get in. It doesn't matter what other teams they put.
Well, to me, I think I would have liked to see Illinois or Gonzaga, especially Gonzaga. I would have loved to see them play more out of conference.
I mean, there was like the Big Ten ACC showcase, like preseason.
But that was like preseason. Like you don't know, it wasn't even preseason. It
Yeah.
counted, but it was
Yeah.
earlier, really early in the season. So, like I'm saying, like Gonzaga, I would have liked to see them play a little more competition. But I don't know. Like that's the kind of the problem with this year. This whole COVID thing kind of played a huge role in terms of like seeding.
At least we're having a tournament
Oh
this
yeah,
year.
yeah. I mean, there's nothing better in my opinion. There's
the best.
There's not
the
much
best
better
sporting
Yeah,
event.
Yeah,
Argue
I was
either
gonna
that
say.
or the Super Bowl. One of the two.
Yeah, there's not much better than the March Madness tournament when it comes to sporting events. So I'm really excited for this week. I love watching the games. Like I said, like I watch them on my phone back to back to back. Like there's games on at every hour of every day.
Yeah.
And that's like the best thing. I mean, any sports fan could ask for. So, I want to talk about Villanova. Obviously,
Sure,
Gillespie.
Weaver does.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
Jason
I
Weaver's
mean-
team. So,
I mean,
How did Georgetown win that conference, bro?
well,
we
Gillespie's out.
Gillespie's their glue to the team. He's the leader. He runs the floor. He's the facilitator. Without him, they're not the same team. And DJ Moore was hurt too.
Yeah, he's
So that didn't help either. But I mean, Georgetown's on a roll. I think they'll go deep in the tournament for sure. I mean, they're hot, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel for Villanova because their two best players are going to be probably out for the tournament.
Robinson Earl's gonna have to carry.
And but they're going to see a tough matchup in the first round.
Yeah.
They played themselves into a tough game.
I wouldn't be surprised if they get bounced in the first or second round.
I
What
wouldn't
seed do
say
you think
first
they'll be?
round.
3. They'll be a 3.
Really?
I think.
Yeah, they have a good enough record.
Yeah, but
But I mean, it's
even 3-4 seed. I think they'll win first.
either
round.
3 or 4.
oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. They'll win the first round, but second round's gonna.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they lose.
Depends who they draw. If they draw the University of California, Santa Barbara, they might.
I mean, yeah, they're on the come up.
yeah,
we
won their
watched it
conference last night over UC Irvine.
Yeah, that was a fun game to watch. I haven't really watched much of the Western
Yeah.
like
Was that
conferences.
like
and
the
stuff.
California conference, pretty much?
Basically, like some of those Western conferences.
I mean, Andy Katz has for 3 seeds: West Virginia, Nova, Arkansas, and Kansas.
I love the underdogs in March Madness. Like that's to me.
I don't know who I'm cheering for this year.
To me, rooting for the underdog, but there's 64 of them. Like
Yeah.
there's like 16
Well,
to
68 if you.
There's like 20 teams that are considered underdogs to me. So I mean, if they make it past the first round, then yeah, I'm gonna like pay attention to them. But like, I don't expect there to be any 16-1 upsets this
No.
year. Hartford won their conference. They're gonna be in the tournament. As we mentioned, Ohio State and Illinois play today in their conference title. Norfolk State, I guess they're going to be in the tournament. They won their conference.
Yeah.
Alabama, as we mentioned, is playing currently, actually. It's about 2 o'clock right now. They're playing currently LSU in their conference championship. Cincinnati is playing today versus Houston in that championship, the American Conference Championship. And then Iona is going to be in the tournament. They won
Rick
their
Pitino's
conference.
team.
Iona,
That's Patina's team.
That's a sleeper for sure.
Yeah, Patina.
Whoever Patino's
Patino
coaching,
in the tournament. Yeah.
that's gonna be a sleeper. They'll make a splash.
Well, they have a really good record too. Except they've
good
only
to
played
see him back
17
coaching or
games.
bad, depending on how you look at that. But.
Yeah.
I think that's his 5th team that he's gone to the tournament.
And then Texas, they're good. They're good. They're obviously going to be in it. They won their conference title. San Diego State won their conference. Texas Southern is going to be in this year's tournament after winning their conference title last night. Georgetown beating Creighton
That's
in the Big
crazy.
East tournament. That's obviously some huge news.
I mean, without your coach,
Georgetown is
do they have a
funny
losing
team.
record or like
They
almost
are-
like barely 500?
Yeah, they're one game over 500. And they're going to be in the tournament. They won their conference.
That bounces a
that
bounces a bubble team out.
That
is
could
what does.
definitely be a sleeper pick for me because
They're
the
on a
Big
roll.
East the Big East isn't like isn't a bad conference.
They're not. I mean, it's usually a strong conference, but I think they're
Well, there's
lacking some talent this year.
Well, Gillespie, like as we mentioned, Villanova's down guys. Creighton's down their coach.
Will he be back for
But-
the tournament?
I don't
assume
know.
so.
Who?
Creighton's
Greg
coach.
McDermott.
I don't know.
I
But,
assume so. After that,
I'm not sure, like what is gonna happen like with Georgetown and where they're gonna end up seating wise. But
Yeah,
I definitely feel like they're gonna get a favorable game after winning.
I mean, they're going to be over teams like Norfolk State, obviously, but you can't really put them too high with
like
a
here's another thing with the conference titles. You look at the ACC. Georgia Tech
Yeah.
won that ACC
Oh,
off
man.
of some really, really poor. I mean,
Well,
there's nobody to blame for the scenario that happened.
Just unfortunate for Virginia.
Yeah,
Really.
Virginia and Duke. Duke had to forfeit a game too.
Duke
Not
wasn't
saying
winning
that,
that.
yeah, Duke probably would have lost, but at the same time, you're taking away opportunities. Like, Duke was playing for a chance to go to the
Yeah.
tournament.
Yeah.
If they were to win that ACC tournament, obviously
They'd
they
have
punched
been in,
their ticket, and that was the only way they could have gotten in.
I mean, the NIT is gonna be fun to watch too.
Yeah, but I mean,
Maybe we'll
there's
see
no
Miami
saying.
in it.
I'm not even sure there's going to be an NIT because of
I think there
COVID.
will.
I mean, a lot of these teams, like Duke, would probably be in the NIT, but I mean, are they even going to be ready by then? So there's a lot to think about when it comes to things like that. The whole thing with college basketball this year is trying to play while limiting COVID, like limiting the COVID scenario. So I would not be surprised if they cancel the NIT because that's not. Yes,
Like
people.
mandatory,
Yeah,
really.
that's people. Like
Yeah.
people watch that, but it's not. It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the tournament.
Yeah.
So
I could see it playing out either way, really.
it's kind of like an exhibition tournament, if you will. And
Well, not for the teams in it. I mean,
well, obviously it would be cool to win. Obviously, like Pitt is my team, and I mean, they're not gonna make the NIT realistically because they are without their two best players. They're arguably, I mean, obviously Justin Champagny is their best player, but they're out of their top three scorers, Justin Champagny, Xavier Johnson, and Adis Toney. Adis Toney and Xavier Johnson are like they have declared to enter the transfer portal for next season. So about a week and 2 weeks ago, they both stopped playing for the remainder of the season, and that killed Pitt.
yeah.
It killed them. So
Why can they just stop playing?
I don't. You know what?
That's kind of.
The whole here's my whole thoughts on that. I'll let Jacob talk on this too as an athlete, but when you quit, that's like the most weakest thing you could ever do as
Especially
an athlete.
mid-season.
Especially mid-season. That is that's giving up on not just your team, but yourself, in my opinion. You're giving up on the guys that you go to war with. You go to practice with these guys every single day. You know what I'm saying? Like, you work so hard with these guys preseason, during season, and then for you to just turn your back on them and walk out the door. I don't care if you enter the transfer portal. That's not my problem. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Especially when your team sucks. I can understand. Those are two good basketball players, and Pitt is not a
What
very
about the guy
good
from
basketball
Duke,
team.
though?
Exactly. I'm going to say him too. Jalen Johnson. Duke was fighting for their chance to play in the tournament. And around mid-season, Jalen Johnson, who in my opinion is probably a top 5, top 10 pick in this year's NBA draft, he...
lottery pick for sure.
Lottery pick. He turned his back on his team and walks out the door. And you know what?
It's basically just a screw you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
it
get
was
ready
a,
for the NBA
it was
draft.
a screw you kind of thing. And Coach K, I mean, being the guy that he is, being one of the greatest coaches of all time, came out with a statement and said, I support him no matter what. But what else is he supposed to say? You know that, in his head, he was thinking, this guy just gave up on his teammates. You know what I'm saying?
He's
And I
chasing
mean,
for the money.
it's unreal to me how you can just go to war with your teammates one day and then turn your back on them the next. And you know what? I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. Like I said, I don't mind if you enter the transfer portal and you say you're going to enter the transfer portal before the season's over. I don't really have a problem with that. But when you don't finish the season and you walk out on your team, I can't stand that, and I just don't stand for it. I mean, Jacob, like I said, I'm going to let you talk in this as an athlete.
I just want to ask you, do you think players opting out of the college football season was quitting on their team?
No.
Players like Jamar Chase.
I don't think doing that before the season. Not before the season. These guys are doing it mid-season.
Okay.
Especially due to the pandemic, too.
No, the thing with Pitt, I am against that more so than what Jalen Johnson did because he's going to the draft. You're risking injury
Yeah.
on a losing team, you could have just opted out for the whole season.
But I still don't. I
don't really. I mean, obviously,
You're also there to play.
I still
Like,
don't. I still don't condone.
But you don't really go to Duke to be a 4-year player if you're Jalen Johnson, and everyone knows that.
But you go to Duke to play basketball. You don't go to Duke to play one half of a season. And
I mean, all I'm saying is he could have opted out before the season and played none. For them.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that at the time he quit, those guys were fighting for their chance.
No, I agree.
Do you think he would have quit mid-season if they had a winning record?
No.
Exactly.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, I think the severity of that compared to, like, the Pitt guys, and even with the Pitt guys, it's like you're quitting on your team to go join another college team.
Yeah.
You're basically putting your future team, who you don't even know who that is.
And I definitely understand it. Like, when you declare to go to the transfer portal and, like, you have a bunch of teams after you, that's, like, the only thing you're going to think about.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I can't, like, stand for quitting on your team halfway through the season. And Pitt, at the time that those guys quit, they were around 500. Like, they weren't...
Yeah, I don't see how it's fair to just announce that during the season.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't stand for that as an athlete. I don't know how any coaches could even, like, stand for that, and I'm sure they don't.
I mean, you had to know it was coming.
And, like you mentioned, even guys in the NFL that opted out. Marquise Goodwin, who, I mean, obviously I was looking forward to getting to watch play this year as an Eagle.
And there's some players that have, like, not necessarily Jalen Johnson, but, like, legitimate, like, concerns.
Reasons, yeah. Like, Marquise Goodwin just had a baby.
Yeah.
And, like, that... I don't know if you watched the documentary that ESPN did on Marquise Goodwin, but...
Well, he lost his son earlier.
They had, I believe they had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
And, I mean, like, that's really hard to, like, leave your newborn baby and your wife, who's been, like, your rock. Like, it's really hard to leave that to go play a full 16-game NFL season. Yeah. So, like I said, I completely understand that. Jamar Chase, on the other hand, like, yeah, I understand. I don't, like, necessarily care that much about what he did because it was preseason, but it's going to hurt his draft value. It's going to hurt.
Didn't.
In my opinion, it did. I don't know how you can say he didn't, because him not playing led to Devontae Smith having, like, a really good year, and Devontae Smith, like, being the guy, like, in his shoes now. You know what I'm saying?
Some people.
I'm saying,
minority of people think.
If Jamar Chase would have played this year, that probably wouldn't have happened.
What if Jamar Chase plays and gets hurt? What if Jamar Chase plays and doesn't play as well?
What if Devontae Smith got hurt this year? Like, it's not...
Jalen Waddle.
You can say that about any single...
I know,
exactly.
Yeah. No, that's the point.
Jalen Waddle got hurt, you're right. But...
You don't take the risk in the first place. And
so you're saying...
You're still a top 5 talent in the draft, and everyone knows it.
I don't know.
I mean...
Yeah, he's definitely a top 5 talent. He's definitely a top 10 talent, obviously. But because, like, there's people that have...
You're not worrying about injury. Like, you're there to play the game.
Like, yeah, exactly.
I think you are if you have a chance to provide money for your family, especially in situations
you could say that about any guy.
Where you haven't had it before.
You could say that about any D1 athlete that has, like, a name.
That's really the end goal. The end goal is not playing in college.
But it hurt his value. In my opinion, it hurt his value because it led to Devontae Smith, like, Devontae Smith's name being that, like, Devontae Smith becoming the new Jamar Chase.
All right, back to March Madness.
Yeah, keep us on track.
So what do you guys sleeper teams think that'll make a splash in the tournament?
Georgetown,
UCSB.
Bro, this man's watched. He
watched
UCSB one time.
What? How many times have you watched UCSB?
Last night with you.
Exactly.
I think Liberty on Patino's team.
Iona, yeah.
Well,
Liberty's not that bad. Honestly.
I mean, if you call Georgetown a sleeper, Georgetown Georgetown could go one of two ways.
You got to look at the teams that win their conference tournaments that aren't, like, ranked or anything.
Yeah,
like, that's a sleeper.
Georgetown could go one of two ways. Either they continue on this hot streak, or what they really are comes out.
I think,
which is not anything.
Well, okay, in North Carolina, you could say the same thing about North Carolina. Like North Carolina's on a roll right now.
Yeah.
But there's been times in the season where they look terrible.
Syracuse.
There's been times in this season where North Carolina looks absolutely awful. And North Carolina's going to end up making the tournament, probably.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they could definitely be a sleeper. I honestly, North Carolina is one of the teams that got COVID, I think.
Because a game with Miami got canceled.
Yeah.
Because, who was it? Baycott was in a club or something.
I don't know, man. I feel terrible. That's the kind of stuff that I can't stand either. When you're, that's stupidity. Who goes out? Your team is fighting to win the ACC title, which is that's an honor. You know what I'm saying? As an athlete.
That was a while ago.
No, in this
and
ACC tournament.
I don't know exactly what happened with Virginia and Duke. I don't know if it was players being dumb or.
I would assume not, because they're probably all
I think it might have been a staff member for Virginia. I'm not sure though.
They're probably all locked into a hotel, quarantined when they're not at practice or playing, and then obviously college and pro sports. Those guys.
Honestly, I think probably Virginia's on upset watch right now, getting upset because they're not really going to be preparing all together for the tournament. And usually Virginia is pretty upset prone. I mean, they're the only one seed to ever lose to a 16 seed. So I think whoever
UMBC?
Yeah. Whoever Virginia draws round 1, round 2, I think could be a sleeper.
You never know. Drexel might pull off the upset.
Drexel won their tournament. Yep, Drexel's going to be in it. Drexel was one of the first teams to win their conference.
Did Nicholls State win? Last night we were watching it. Did they?
I don't know.
Nicholls State.
And by the way, Oregon State, that was a final score, not a halftime score.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I really do believe, this is going to be a fun tournament to watch.
It always is.
It always is.
Especially since it's been so long.
But I'm not sure we're going to see as many upsets this year. I don't know. I could be wrong. I just don't.
I'd say the opposite.
I mean, there's some really there's not any sleepers that are bad seeds.
I feel like some of us, especially us, we haven't seen enough.
Yeah, that's true.
So, there's gonna be upsets. I think for sure.
There definitely will be.
There always are.
And I mean, if Gonzaga were to lose in the second, third round, that's not an upset to me. You guys would consider an upset, but I've seen that story play out way too many times.
There's a reason why they're number one.
Because they're undefeated. They haven't played anybody. I've seen this story play out time after time.
I feel the same way about teams like Iowa. I mean, I don't think
Iowa's not that good.
They're ranked what?
They're 5th. Yeah. But they've lost to a lot of good teams.
That's what I'm saying.
See,
they haven't beaten anybody
good.
Big
Ten teams in the tournament.
Yeah, neither can I. Ever.
I can. Illinois is about to win.
About to lose. They're about to pull a Big Ten and lose in the third round.
Yeah, their drought keeps going.
They're too good. They're too good this year.
Say that every year.
I don't know how they're not ranked number 2. I mean, they're better than Baylor, even though they have Baylor. Yeah. Baylor has one loss to Kansas.
Yeah.
But if you watch Illinois play right now, you're going to watch them play later today in their conference tournament, in their championship. But
what if they get smacked?
They have their team is unbelievable this year, and especially right now. The kind of basketball, the brand of basketball that they are playing right now,
I like Baylor's brand.
Baylor is a very, very good team, but I haven't watched them. I haven't watched them enough to tell you that
defense.
They're obviously a good team. They have
the best
one
defense
loss
in the country.
They have one loss, and they play in a decent conference. But Illinois right now is better.
I don't agree with that.
Illinois is the best team in basketball right now.
I don't agree with that.
They are. I've watched them.
Third best.
They would beat Gonzaga.
No.
They would kill Gonzaga. It would be fun to watch for me.
I mean,
they
obviously,
wouldn't kill them.
Obviously, it'd be a really good game.
Yeah, it would be a close game. But
I think for me, there's a top 3, and then there's Gonzaga, Illinois, and Baylor. I think those are the clear top 3. And I think, Alabama could be the 4, but I think they're on a tier down from those.
I guess now they got Nova as a 5 seed.
Are you serious? Because of injuries?
Well, I mean, they
lost.
Bounced out of the...
They lost in the second round of that tournament.
Trying to see who else.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens tonight in terms of seeding and stuff.
Texas 3, Bama's 2.
You also got to look at what side, side of the bracket that every team's on.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you can't just point out who's the 1 seed because there's like 4 different regions.
Miami sleeper team to win the NIT if they have one.
They're not even gonna win. They're not even gonna make the NIT.
Hey, we did some damage in the ACC 20.
You beat 2 teams.
2 teams.
Bro.
We almost beat Georgia Tech. Almost.
So we're going to be doing a bracket challenge through ESPN for this March Madness coming up. It's free to enter, and if whoever the winner is, we are going to be announcing the winner on our podcast in these next few weeks after the tournament wraps up. So the link for that is going to be on our Instagram, and like I said, it's free to join, so feel free to join and obviously pick some teams with us. That wraps up our March Madness talk. We're now going to get into some NBA talk. If you haven't heard about Anchor yet, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free and there's no charge. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more music apps.
You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you'll ever need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started on your podcast today.
Okay, so now we're going to be getting into our NBA portion. Obviously, not much happening this week as games slowly started to progress again, resume again, if you will. I believe there was like 2 or 3 games on Wednesday, and then there was a ton of games on Thursday.
Yeah, Friday.
So, the biggest thing that probably happened this week in terms of the NBA would be Joel Embiid's injury.
That was scary.
Yes, it was. So, if you guys haven't seen or know, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons were obviously, we touched on it last week, they did not contract COVID. They were tested negative, but they were in contact with somebody that did contract COVID. So they were out for the All-Star game, which led to 5 days of quarantine, like per NBA rules or whatever. And then so they were not allowed to play on the Sixers played Thursday and Friday back to back. Simmons and Embiid could not play Thursday against the Bulls, in which the Sixers won that game by I believe 27 points. But Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons was hurt as well, so he missed time. He missed Friday's game, but Joel Embiid did play. Joel Embiid was actually injured in that game, dunking on Robin Lopez. He went up and dunked on him, and as he was coming down, fell really, really hard to the ground.
Hyperextended it, right?
And he hyperextended it and bruised his knee. So, he is out for 2 weeks now. At least that's what it is right now.
At least 2 weeks.
He will be, quote-unquote, reevaluated in 2 weeks. So, we'll see how the Sixers play without him. Obviously, he's a huge part of their team. He's their rock. He's their heart and soul. And they really do struggle without him. So, I'm kind of nervous because that means we're probably going to end up sacrificing the 1 seed in these next couple weeks without Embiid because, I don't see us... I see us going about 500 considering our schedule in these next 2 weeks. We do have some tough games. Then again, I feel like we're a good team. We just beat the Bulls, who are on the come-up. We beat them by, 20-some points without Embiid or Simmons. So hopefully we can keep that up, but I don't know. We got the Nets right on our heels.
Obviously, your best player being out, MVP, leading MVP candidate right now. I'm, as an NBA fan and as a decent human being, I'm just glad that it wasn't worse. And I'm sure Sixers fans obviously feel the same way.
It definitely could have been. And obviously, this is probably the worst case scenario or the worst thought to go through your mind. But
when you see an injury,
when you see
Especially a knee injury.
When you see your best player go down on the floor and holding his knee,
and his
first thing
shin goes in front of his.
The first thing you think about is an ACL, which obviously isn't a season-ending injury. So, obviously nervous.
No one comes back from an ACL injury. They don't come back the same.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. I mean, look at Carson Wentz this last year.
Derrick Rose.
Two completely different sports. Derrick Rose, obviously, is, if you want to put it in basketball terms.
Brady came back all right from his, but...
Who?
Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out for the Sixers. They play tonight against the Spurs. The fans are now allowed back in the Wells Fargo Center, so hopefully that'll give them some extra juice without Embiid.
Simmons back?
Yeah, Simmons comes back tonight, so I don't know. I feel like we could, like I'm saying, this is a game we're going to need to win without him. It's the first game without him, and it's a must-win scenario when it comes to, the competition that they're going to be seeing these next couple weeks. So, I don't know. I'm kind of nervous. We're talking about sacrificing the 1 seed, maybe even the 2 seed. So, I don't know. I'm nervous.
Well, now I guess you guys will know how we felt without Jimmy for a while.
And the thing is, if you give the Nets any kind of breathing room, say the Sixers win just...
I don't know.
Did we talk about Blake Griffin?
We almost predicted that.
Oh yeah, we did.
Week.
We did predict it.
Yeah.
We tell the future on the early morning.
Yeah, if you guys haven't heard, Blake Griffin obviously is signing with the Nets, and he will probably be coming off the bench.
Yeah, he'll be their sixth man.
So
that's crazy.
Small ball center.
Here's my thoughts.
Who would have thought?
He's washed.
Nah, he's like a shooter now.
He's not the same.
Well, yeah.
He's just not.
I think he was
you
averaging.
Don't think of Blake Griffin as you
the Warriors. The super team with the Warriors is one thing, but then when you look at this,
he was good in his prime.
Imagine you told me in 2015 that Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan would be on the Nets together.
Obviously it's a super team at this point. They are honestly probably a better team than the Warriors were.
Mm-hmm.
A couple years
back. That Warriors
back.
team is one of the greatest teams of all time.
Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond, KD, and who was their center?
They had a good bench too.
Yeah,
they did have a good. Guys that don't even play
guys like Maurice Spates would
Sean Livingston,
Quinn Cook,
Sean Livingston.
Yeah, Quinn Cook was just released by the Lakers, so not that that's a huge deal, but he used to be one of the best shooters in the league when he played for those super teams.
That's what having guys that space the floor like Curry and Durant and Klay Thompson will do.
I think the Lakers definitely.
And that was when
same talent. They got LeBron and AD.
That was when Draymond was elite too. Draymond was a perennial
Draymond was good.
Candidate.
Oh yeah, but at the same time, you just said, you're talking about James Harden, KD, Kyrie, those three, and then you add them on with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, and they still have a pretty decent bench.
Joe Harris.
Yeah, Joe Harris is.
Well, Joe Harris is gonna start. He's not gonna come off the starting lineup.
Joe Harris is shooting 54.5% on catch and shoot threes.
Well,
catch and shoot threes. That's absurd.
Guys like him are gonna be made.
That's what he is. You have to stop a Harden, Durant, Kyrie drive. But then you leave someone that's shooting over 50% on catch and shoot threes open. And if
I'm going to be completely honest with you, I can't believe Harris wasn't a part of the deals that got Harden to...
Yeah, shooting, and more shooting is really what
even Blake
the NBA
Griffin
is going towards.
Did Detroit release Blake Griffin?
They bought him out.
What about Shumpert? Did he get released? Iman Shumpert?
I don't even know he was still in the league.
he was on the Nets.
Is Dinwiddie? Where's Dinwiddie at?
He's on the team.
Is
he hurt right now?
He might be hurt.
That's crazy.
He's been hurt for the last 2 years.
Yeah. So
he
was
good
too.
When he was really good on that team.
Yeah, when Dinwiddie and LeVert and that was their team.
And
Jarrett Allen was like the anchor.
D'Lo.
That's what I don't like. They had a good young team
coming
up.
I mean, obviously you're gonna get rid of that for what they have now.
But, like,
that's not.
That's just kind of frustrating.
No, that's why I like. That's
those
why.
guys are kind of bums.
That's
bro.
why I like the
D'Lo isn't the same.
That's why I like the NFL
You know
so
what
much
I'm saying,
more.
bro? Like, yeah, that's true.
I just.
I feel like the value.
I mean, I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those guys that hate like joining forces with other like stars. Like I don't.
I believe
win a championship.
Here's the thing in my head. The NFL is more of an individual sport compared to basketball.
I disagree with that.
I mean, in the NBA, it's a lot of isolations and stuff, but at the same time, like in football, you're hitting the same guy one-on-one over and over and over again.
Well,
there's not really much scheme, especially when you're playing. There is scheme. I mean,
there's
defense.
There's a lot of scheme.
But like, there's like J.J. Watt is told he's tasked with the same thing week after week after week. Go get the quarterback.
Yeah, it's more. Football's obviously more specialized, but
it's more individualized. Like you have a responsibility, but at the same time, you have to defeat a one-on-one before can complete
I just think like with
task.
the NFL, you look at like teams like the Patriots.
Basketball is like
that doesn't happen in the NBA.
You don't score points in basketball without passing the ball at least one time on a possession, unless you're in transition.
I think the NFL is more scheme-based compared to the NBA, which is
I would agree with that, but I'm just saying, like, I believe football is probably more an individual sport.
I disagree with that.
Yeah, I don't.
Basketball is like you have to. Like,
but think about this.
There's a lot of guys.
The value of one guy on the court is 1 out of 5. You're 1 out of 5 guys on the court.
I don't
versus the NFL, which is 1 out of 11.
No, there's certain guys in the NBA that have a value of more than one of.
No, I agree with that.
Like there's guys like Kyrie, KD, and Harden are 3 guys that are going to like absolutely open the floor up, and like it doesn't matter like who else is on the court with them.
Yeah, that's.
And when they're on the court together, that's like almost unstoppable.
Yeah, like
in
if
football,
you have like Deshaun Watson, J.J. Watt, and pick a third guy. I don't know whoever the third best player on the Texans was. You go 4-12. Like
it's
that's
individualized. That's what you play a position in football.
It's
you
more
have an individual task.
Yeah, it's more specialized. Like in the NBA, you play defense, you score, you pass.
But it's a more team.
Rebound.
It's more of a team sport.
No,
football is. Like you need that.
Football is the most team sport there is. It doesn't get more team sport than football. Because it's a bunch of individual take Quentin Nelson, offensive lineman, for example. His job is to block. That is it. Obviously,
yeah, I get what you're saying. I know where you're going.
It is a bunch of
if
different.
If he's the only guy that blocks, then nothing would happen.
It's a bunch of individual, specialized guys coming together to produce a team product in conjunction with the scheme, which plays a huge part. If you look at teams like the Patriots and the 49ers, which are scheme heavy. Like you look at the Browns. Last year they were horrible, and this year they're good.
Football is
coaching change.
Yeah, football is probably more of a team sport. But basketball, I mean, it's up like basketball is kind of the same way. Like you depend on the other guy to help you on defense.
Yeah.
You depend on the other guy to make that pass that's going to get a bucket.
But then you also have guys like Kevin Durant who can score at will without.
But they open up other guys. They open the floor up. That's what I'm saying. Like the Nets have 3 guys that open the 3 guys on like if they were on different teams.
Like I just can't imagine a lineup of.
I can't imagine. Okay, listen to this. Like this is gonna be a bold take here, but I believe the Celtics.
One of many.
The Celtics should have been a way better team with Kyrie. Am I wrong about that?
No.
Like I
well now
Kemba's
not doing
finals. They were like a final. They had a finals roster.
Yeah, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals.
They should have won the finals.
They were young. I don't know.
They were young.
I don't think in the NBA right now, I don't think Kyrie as the best player on the team is a championship caliber team.
So
I agree with
they
that.
had Kyrie when the Raptors went to the finals.
And won.
It. I don't think the Raptors were that good of a team besides Kawhi.
I don't know.
I mean, Kyle Lowry was good.
Well-rounded
Yeah, they
team.
were a really good, like, solid team. And And
I mean,
they
the
had,
Sixers.
what, Nick
I
Nurse? Good.
I think the team that came out of the East that year was going to be the favorite.
Because the Warriors were hurt.
Yeah, KD was playing hurt, and I believe he got hurt again in the finals.
Yeah, he did.
So, like, the Warriors, whoever came out of the East was going to more than likely win the finals. Whether that was the Sixers,
Celtics,
Raptors, Celtics. Who played the Raptors in the Bucks? Did the Bucks play him in the Eastern Conference Finals? Whoever came out of the East was going to be the favorite because of the injuries that the Warriors had. And, I mean...
I don't know. That Raptors team was good. Like Van Vliet, OG Anunoby.
Everyone
They
stepped
still
up.
have the same guys.
Yeah, they just all stepped
Yeah,
up.
now they're just not good anymore.
Why? That's
because they don't have that star anymore.
They don't have that leadership with Kawhi.
Like their best player is Pascal Siakam, and we're not very high on him. But
why is Kawhi like?
Because he's.
I can't believe how different guys are.
You need a superstar. I mean, that's
Kawhi isn't even a superstar now.
Yeah,
he's not having a good year.
Yes, he is. Kawhi's a superstar, and he does it on the defense.
He's not even having that good of a season. He's not.
Not like Kawhi.
And he hasn't.
Not Kawhi standards. Like,
but he's still a superstar.
Obviously, he's like one of the best players in the league.
And the Clippers are doing fine. Like they're not struggling. So
what about the Heat?
But ever since he left.
I heard about the Heat. 9-1 in our last 10. Jimmy Butler's averaging 25, 7.5, and 6. I think over our last 10. And hold on, let me read you our upcoming schedule. This gets good. All right, our next 10. The Magic, Cavs, Grizzlies, Pacers again, Suns, Trailblazers, Hornets, Knicks, and then the Pacers for a third time. Like, could we be 19-1?
You gotta be careful, bro. Like, injuries can happen.
Yeah. I'm just saying, without the unforeseen injury, COVID, saying racial slurs on Twitch, stuff like that. I think we could be in for a pretty good stretch here in our season.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see you guys going on a tear.
I think 3 seed might be in.
What? The Bucks and the Sixers and the
it'll be
top 3.
I think the Nets will be 1. I think you guys will be 2, and I think we'll be 3.
3 or 4. You guys will be 3 or 4.
I think
by the end of this next 10-game stretch. The
Bucks are still good, bro.
I mean, we're 4.5 games out.
What are the Celtics right now?
Or excuse me, we're 4 games out from the 3 seed.
Celtics are what, 6?
So yeah, 3 or 4. We're currently the 4 seed. Here's the East standings.
Celtics are 5.
I mean, we're currently the 4 seed. And
well, the Celtics are half.
We're arguably the hottest team in the league right now.
Well, yeah, if you win 6 of your... Or whatever you just
9
said.
of our last 10.
I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see... Because, like, you can't really go off of...
I know, but...
What happened... Like, especially right now, like, everybody's coming off their All-Star break and...
Yeah, but we're 2-0 since the All-Star break. It's not.
We are too. It's just, like, we're going to be without Embiid now. We've played 2 bad teams. So, I mean, we really haven't seen much competition.
What about the Suns?
I don't know.
Are they legit?
They'll be a playoff team for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, obviously, they're like the 2 seed in the West.
Collapses happen. I mean, it's not like...
Or no, they're the 3 seed.
No, Suns are 2 seed.
Jazz 1,
first.
Lakers 3?
Lakers 3, Clippers 4.
Who's like the best team in the NBA right now?
The Nets.
Just go look at the
record.
Oh, the best record is still the Jazz.
It's still the Jazz. They're 28-9.
No, read off the top 5.
Jazz are number 1.
Sixers are 2.
I believe,
Nets
are 2.
are 3.
Sixers are 2 now?
Yeah.
Wow. No,
Wow.
Suns are 3.
Lakers 4.
I think the Nets and the Suns are tied.
Suns are 25-12. Nets are 26-13.
Okay, so
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's gonna come down to
the Knicks slipped to the 7 seed.
Yeah, that was too good. That was too good to be true. The Knicks.
2 weeks. Two weeks after we had Paul on the podcast, and he was all hyping up about them.
I really hope.
Well, we could talk about the dunk contest.
Do we want to?
Yeah, do we even...
I mean, the dunk contest, in my opinion, was boring. I think we can all agree with that. Here's my...
I saw this one TikTok. It was this guy, like, dunking on an 8-foot hoop over his brother, and all the comments were, this guy should have been in the dunk contest.
Here's my thoughts on that. It was rushed. It was at halftime of the All-Star.
I kind of like...
They should have done it on a Saturday night before.
I like the halftime idea. I just don't think it was a good dunk contest.
It wasn't a good dunk contest because it was rushed.
Wasn't it different, though, like the judging, too?
So, like, what happened was there was only 3 contestants. Usually there's, like, 5.
Yeah.
They cut the contestants down because of the length of time
of COVID.
COVID.
Well, it wasn't
length
even that.
COVID.
Like, they still could have had, like, the dunk contest on a Saturday and then had 5 contestants. Each contestant only got 2 dunks, which is typical. Like, in the first round, everybody gets 2 dunks. And then, based off of scoring, like, what their scores were, 2 of them went to the finals round. Like, there was no, like, in between there. They went straight to the finals round. And then both finalists, I believe, got 1 dunk each. And then whoever...
I just think you need to get, like, stars in there. Like, where was Anthony Edwards?
Yeah, exactly. They need to get bigger names. Obi Toppin's not, like, a bad name to have in there. But I didn't even know the other 2. I knew Cassius, Stanley, because he went to Duke. Yeah. I didn't... They even said last week that he has never had a dunk in an NBA game.
That's crazy.
Shouldn't that be like one of the qualifications?
That should be like a red flag.
Yeah, like
that's like throwing Steph Curry into the dunk contest.
It would be fun. Like Ben Simmons, like if he were to be like healthy,
next year get Paul George, Anthony Edwards,
Aaron Gordon.
But Ben Simmons is like I'm gonna sound like a homer here, but like he knows how to dunk and he's like fun to watch.
Yeah, I think the dunk contest is slipping, and I think they need more stars in there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like the days when Vince Carter was just like running through the dunk contest.
And, I mean, they had 2 guys on the same team. Tracy McGrady was in the dunk contest.
Now, what was the All-Star format this year? Like the game?
Like reset the score after every quarter, and they played for like
it was last year.
Team KD didn't win a single.
No, that's kind of how it was. So like they like would play every quarter. They would reset after every quarter. They would reset the score. And then until it got to the 4th quarter. And then the 4th quarter, they added all those points up. And you played to a target score.
Because last year was really fun to watch. Because they were all playing.
You didn't play a 4th quarter. There wasn't necessarily a 4th quarter. There was a target score.
Yeah.
So I don't
like the target score.
After the 3rd quarter, the scores were added up. And then, like, they met, like, I guess, like, they kind of found some like sort of average or whatever.
Yeah, I like that. I mean,
it wasn't bad.
It wasn't the same thing as last year.
No, but last year's was like
it was fun to
really good.
The All-Star game was. I thought it was fun to watch. Like guys were pulling up from half court.
The 3-point contest was fun too.
Yeah. I mean, Mike Conley and Steph Curry. Those are 2 of the greatest shooters of all time. Obviously, it's gonna be fun.
I don't know about Conley.
Maybe not.
Conley's gonna be a Hall of Famer.
No.
I think
one All-Star game appeance.
Well,
that's another bold take.
He's probably not going to be a Hall of Famer.
He's going to be in the Hall of Good.
Maybe Hall of Fame of.
He's not going to be a Hall of Famer. I'm saying that because they. He'll
be in the Memphis Grizzlies Ring of Honor.
They seem to put everybody in there.
Yeah, NBA Hall of Fame is probably the.
Mike Conley won't make the Hall of Fame, especially if he's only had 1, and he wasn't even supposed to have a.
All-Star players.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, he was having fun out there. Who did he tip off with? Was it Chris Paul? I don't know. He did like a jump ball.
It was fun to watch because, like I said, guys were pulling up from half court. You saw like Chris Paul and Steph Curry were dunking, 2-point guards dunking. Like that's not other than Ben Simmons. You don't see that every day. So, with that being said, that ends our NBA talk, and now we're going to get into some NFL talk, especially the Dolphins. So, Jacob, I heard that the Dolphins made a move today.
Yeah, kicking off our NFL talk. So, the Dolphins traded away defensive end Shaq Lawson, and we got linebacker Benardrick McKinney from the Texans.
Barbed wire McKinney.
Actually made the Pro Bowl in 2018, so we're excited about that.
2 decent players.
Yeah, it's like a trade of like solid starters, and we're swapping like 7th round picks for whatever reason in that trade.
Well, some other big news from Miami this week, Van Noy.
Van Noy, yeah. Really, what that comes down to is Van Noy's backup, Andrew Van Ginkel, did a very good job this year because he had to start because we shuffled Van Noy, Lawson, and Van Ginkel in and out of the lineup at defensive end, outside linebacker. And Van Ginkel arguably did a better job than Kyle Van Noy. They were both pretty good, and you save $11 million in cap and you still have a good starter there.
That's like the biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he was our biggest free agency signing last year, so I don't...
What was it, 4-year?
4-year, 50-something million, but...
Only lasted 1 year.
He played well. He played well for a year, but...
He wasn't bad.
No, he was good. Like, statistically, this year, he was better than last year.
He's going to be a good player for a few more years.
Yeah.
So
he has 3 to 4 years left in him. We signed him on a good length, but I think the roster breakdown in conjunction with the cap we save, I think that helps us. But...
Well, obviously, free agency starts.
Yeah, segueing into free agency, you trade away 2 defensive end edge players, and you get a linebacker. Maybe you're in play for a big name edge rusher free agent like Shaq Barrett. I don't know. But this is a good free agency class. I think I'm excited for it as a Dolphins fan who actually has cap room. I'm excited for it.
If there was 1 year that I would want us to have cap room, it would be this year.
Yeah, this is a good year.
I mean, you got Galladay, Allen Robinson, Xavier Rhodes, Van Noy, who's now a free agent.
Yeah, now a free agent.
Bud
Dupree, players like that.
Well, Bud Dupree. A lot of big names. And I'm excited to see, obviously this is probably going to be a huge week for the bigger names. I would expect to see some bigger names, kind of like
Corey Linsley, Chris Godwin. Oh, did he resign? He resigned.
Yeah, he did.
Brandon Scherf resigned. Anthony Harris, Leonard Williams, David Andrews, players like that. A lot of big O-linemen, too. So, I think the Dolphins could be in.
So, Robinson did not resign?
Did not resign.
Or franchise tag?
No.
I don't know, man. That's crazy.
Oh, wait, no. Oh, no, they did franchise.
Yeah, I thought they did franchise
they did franchise tag him.
So, so I don't know. Like I said, there's going to be some...
Still, big names.
Yeah,
Galladay, Shaq Barrett.
Galladay is probably one of the biggest names. In my opinion, he's probably a top 10 receiver. He's probably the biggest name this free agent.
He's whatever team he signs with, he'll be probably a number 1 receiver.
And there's a lot of teams that could use him. Just not a lot of teams with a whole lot of cap.
The cap went down.
So
due to COVID.
Yeah, I don't really know. The only thing that's helping the Eagles right now is they have a lot of vets that are taking some pay cuts. Darius Slay, Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson, I believe might restructure his deal. Brandon Brooks restructured his deal. So we'll see what happens. There's a lot of... we were just sitting here talking a few minutes ago about how the Eagles, this may be a rebuilding year for them, considering they kind of have come out and publicly said that they're going to try to build their team around Jalen Hurts, who is going into his sophomore season, if you will. And that's a huge, huge decision to be made. You're talking, like I said, he's a young guy, and this is something that they didn't really do with Carson Wentz. They didn't really come out and publicly address the situation and say that they were going to go out and build their team around him. So I'm not sure what to expect this year from the Eagles. They have a lot of vets coming back, as I mentioned.
You guys are in a weird in between.
Yeah,
should we rebuild? Should we hold on?
And we play in the worst division in football. There's no doubt about it. So I definitely feel like we could still contend for the division title, but at the same time, we're not going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of like we won. We have a chance to win a division, but we're going to end up with a terrible pick next year because we're not going to go anywhere.
My opinion is, if you're not on the trajectory to Super Bowl contention, I don't think there's a point. What are you?
Well, they're not going to just throw the whole season away.
no, you don't have to throw the season, but you got to make smart roster moves to get younger and get more picks.
Well, that's what they're kind of trying to do. Like the older vets that are under contract, they're trying to restructure their deals.
Yeah, but that just kicks the can down the road.
But it gives them more cap for this year to go out and help them with younger talent. And there's some young talent in free agency. There's some vets in free agency.
There is a lot of young talent.
Like I said, Xavier Rhodes, right? Like I said a couple weeks ago how I was excited to, possibly target him. But at the same time, he's a vet. He's getting older.
31, I think.
He's 31. He only probably has a few years left in him.
I don't think there's...
And he's not... Yeah, exactly. There's not really a point to bringing him in.
I think if you're the Eagles, you got to target young players like Leonard Williams on the... Your guys' D-line's fine, but...
Well, yeah.
William Jackson at corner.
I'll get into some positions that I don't want to see us target and that I do. Definitely targeting secondary help and linebacker help is probably the biggest thing on the list, other than receivers. Obviously, they're not shopping for a quarterback or a running back.
Well, there aren't really any quarterbacks that you sign over Hurts.
They have minimum cap to go out and try to get a big name receiver. So there's really no point in shopping for one. Why not just draft one? And then their D line is pretty solid. Their offensive line, I would like to see them go out and get some more depth, whether that's in the draft or just with some cheap free agents that they could bring in. They always seem to have a problem with depth. They have a solid starting line when the season rolls around, and then guys drop like flies, and there's nobody behind them.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'll be interested to see how they approach the whole thing, especially with Howie Roseman still in the office. In my opinion, it's just a mistake. And obviously with Doug Peterson leaving and bringing in a new coach in Nick Sirianni, I'm just interested to see what their whole thought process is in this whole situation. Obviously, we touched on Sirianni being a run-first type of offensive coordinator, and I'm excited for that because Miles Sanders is he's a great
he could be
an elite running back if he saw the carries, but he's not seeing the carries right now. He hasn't been seeing the carries since he came into the league, and that's a problem to me. And when you're not giving your playmakers the ball, I don't know how you can expect to win a game. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm interested to see how a guy from Indianapolis who has the best offensive line, best running game in football, I'm interested to see what he brings into Philly. I'm interested to see whether they go and target some offensive line help or what they do to make their running game better.
I'm interested to see what the Dolphins do. Let's put me in the GM chair for a second, as I like to do. I think you target offensive line, namely center. We have a weak center. I think Corey Linsley from the Packers, who is almost confirmed to not be re-signing with the Packers, could be a big target. He was, I believe, second team All-Pro, made the Pro Bowl. He's an elite center. We need O-line help. And I think Shaq Barrett now, with trading away two of your edge rushers, I think is another big target for us. Maybe even someone like Bud Dupree. Who knows?
Yeah, and I mean...
Will Fuller, maybe?
As we look at your list of free agents, I mean, I just want to bring to name some of these guys. You have Corey Davis going to the Eagles, which would be a perfect fit.
Yeah, I mean...
Bigger target.
That's younger
guy who's going to have...
fifth overall pick.
He's going to have time to come into the league and develop a relationship with... Or come into Philly and develop a relationship with Hurts because he's not going to be retiring in 4 years.
Yeah, he's, 25 years old?
He's young. He's going to be there for a while if they were able to sign him. But the problem is they're not going to be able to sign him to a long-term deal.
I mean, if you can make $9 million in cap room, that's probably about his market.
For, 2 years? And then he would be gone.
However long you'd sign him.
The problem is, yes, they're going to have cap room to go get guys for short-term deals.
Yeah, I know. What
They're
you
not
mean.
going to be able to go sign.
You could sign guys on like 1 year prove it deals.
Yeah, and that would be
that would be like what Corey Davis would sign because
just to kind of make some room for. I mean,
he was a top 5 pick.
The Eagles signed Alshon Jeffrey to a 1-year deal, and it turned out to be a pretty good season. They won the Super Bowl, so they re-signed him, and he kept coming back, and
now his contract is.
Now he's obviously like probably going to retire because he's a bum. So
harsh words there from.
But I mean, Will Fuller, a guy that's
I would
fast.
love Will Fuller in Miami.
I think anybody would
next
love
to
Will
Devontae
Fuller.
Parker.
I don't
and Mike
think
Gesicki.
Will Fuller fits with what the Eagles are trying to do, considering they don't have a. They need to target a big. They need
like
to
a
go.
Galladay type jump ball, go up and get the ball.
They have speed. It's just they don't have anybody on the other side who's willing to go jump and get
your
the ball.
guys' receiver core looks a bit like my Madden receiver core. It's just like all fast guys that like.
And they don't. It seems like we don't know how to utilize that speed. Like if I'm. This is gonna sound stupid, but if I was Doug Peterson last year, I have 2 of the best tight ends in the league, Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. Am I wrong about that? Those 2 guys are
they're
good.
Up there, yeah.
Ertz is
two
top,
good.
Ertz is a top 3, top 4 tight end.
All right,
I don't think I'm wrong about that. The only guys I would put ahead of him are Kittle, Kelsey, and obviously.
There's a guy in Oakland that set the record for most receiving yards in a 3-game span.
We already talked about that a couple weeks ago. But those 3 would be the only possible exceptions to put him.
T.J. Hawkinson.
Beyond.
I would.
Ertz is better than T.J.
No, he's
Hawkinson.
not.
Maybe not.
Hawkinson was the best tight end in the NFC last year.
No, he wasn't.
Yes,
Zach Ertz was like the leading.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Last year. Oh, not like this past season. I'm talking about.
Well, I'm talking about this past season.
Well,
Ertz was hurt. Season.
Ertz was hurt for like a majority.
Yeah, he also wasn't particularly exceptional when he played.
Well, okay, you have to kind of consider the circumstances there.
Well, I'm considering circumstances and the fact that he's like 30.
The Eagles couldn't
31 years old.
The Eagles couldn't find it. Okay, I'm not saying he's like Hawkinson's a younger guy. He's probably going to be more athletic than Ertz at this point in Ertz's career. He's 31 years old. But at the same time, like I'm not sure what the Eagles were trying to do last year. They had speed. They could have ran guys deep. They could have opened up the middle of the field for Ertz.
Doing a podcast right now. I'm not sure yet.
Don't look at the predictions because those are from like before all the moves and stuff.
All right, we got to keep going because I said that we're doing call-ins at 3:45.
Time is it?
3:30 almost. Okay, so another huge target would be Juju. Juju Smith-Schuster, we talked with Father Saad last week about Juju a little bit.
He's as much hate as Juju gets for dancing on logos, he is a really good slot receiver. I mean,
he's not going to be back in Pittsburgh.
I don't think so either.
I thought he was last week.
He's a very good route runner in short and intermediate routes, and he owns the middle of the field when he's there. I mean, he finds holes in zones. I mean, valuable slot receiver.
If you get him with the right guys. I mean, Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson are 2 guys that are good.
Juju is not a number 1 receiver, but he is a really good number 2 receiver that can be that guy in the middle of the field catching 10-yard ins and stuff like that when your big target's running fade balls down the field and attracts 2 guys. That's what Juju is. You saw it with Antonio Brown. He had his best season. The best season of his career came when Antonio Brown was taking tops off of defenses in his prime.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And Juju is a guy he's a physical guy. I mean, he's a physical receiver. I think any team, he's kind of like Will Fuller, except Will Fuller is like a speed threat.
Yeah.
Juju is a physical threat, 50-50 threat, but he's young, he's talented, and I think any team in the league would love to have.
He's a TikTok star?
Yeah.
I would like to see him in Miami.
Brings life
we need a slot receiver in Miami, so I would like to see Juju in Miami.
The Eagles, we don't really need a slot receiver. We have young.
We kind of need the opposite of you guys. Like, you guys need a jump ball receiver. We already have that in Devontae Parker. We kind of need everything else.
And the Eagles, like I said, we have speed.
We got Travis Fulgham. What do you mean?
He was good for 2 weeks.
He had his 2 games of fame.
2 weeks, yeah. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't know what the Eagles plan on doing. I don't know what they plan on targeting, whether that's offensive line,
who else you got?
Let me say something about the Dolphins
backs.
real quick. If we sign Aaron Jones, running back.
They do need a running back.
No, we don't.
You don't?
No. We
I
need
don't know,
line.
bro.
We need line because how well the running back does is determined by his outside circumstances. Like, Aaron Jones is a really good running back, but if you pay him $10 million a year to run behind a mediocre offensive line, he's not going to be worth $10 million a year.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a good point.
That's I
You
talked
say
about it
about
last week. I literally
any running back.
we talked about it last week, and I said that.
If your name's
running back
not-
is made by its offense.
If your name's not Derrick Henry, you pretty much need an elite offensive line to be elite.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Maybe McCaffrey because of his pass catching, Kamara, guys like that, but still.
And McCaffrey's
If you're gonna
he's
sign,
fast enough to get off tackle and run
if you're
outside.
gonna sign Aaron Jones, sign an offensive lineman with him, please, Miami.
Who's Miami's running back?
Currently, it's Myles Gaskin and Salvin Ahmed.
Yes, Salvin
Salvin
Ahmed,
Ahmed.
guy that came off the practice squad.
I like him. He's a good. I mean, like Myles Gaskin, he's like another average running back, but that's okay. Like,
We could talk about practice squad players all day long, especially considering our two teams. But
yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I would love to see the Eagles Richard Sherman, a veteran
Sherman,
who doesn't have much time left in the league.
I could see him. I could see
older.
him going to Oakland Las Vegas. I think that's a good fit there. They need defensive back help, and they recently got rid of 2-3 starting offensive linemen to make cap room. So I think they could be in play for some free agency moves. They traded.
He's a vet. He needs to go to a team that's like in a win now kind of scenario.
They traded away the Raiders. Traded away the biggest player in the NFL, Trent Brown. He's a really good O lineman. Got rid of Richie Incognito. Got rid of Gabe Jackson. That's 3 starting O linemen in the span of a week.
I'm not sure why they did that.
That's how their whole offense ran too. Josh Jacobs behind that big, strong, mauling offensive line. If you are planning on taking Josh Jacobs,
Derek Carr isn't good enough to make a team by himself. Like, he needs protection.
Not. If
You know
you're
what I'm saying? Like,
if you're planning on taking Josh Jacobs next year in fantasy, don't. That's my advice.
There are few quarterbacks in this league who don't necessarily need their offensive lines to
Deshaun Watson,
protect. Patrick Mahomes, guys that can escape the pocket.
Well, we saw what happens when.
But he was still.
Mahomes.
But he was still making unbelievable throws.
Not completed throws.
But I mean, there were drops, other circumstances that can occur, and those. I mean, there's like I said, there's very few quarterbacks in this league who can do that. Derek Carr's not one of them. So
close.
cutting 3 offensive linemen in the same week is kind of absurd to me, considering the Raiders aren't even that
Gruden.
good.
I like Gruden. I think he has a plan, but 3 linemen in a week.
Gruden to me seems like a guy who's more into the physical, running it down your throat.
That's what
offense.
Gruden offense is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's got to be something more behind that, and I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe they like some of their younger linemen.
I mean, Incognito is whatever his name is.
Richie Incognito.
Yeah. I mean, those are he's a guy that's prone to getting in trouble. I mean, am I wrong?
I know as a Dolphins fan pretty well.
So I don't know. Maybe there's something
he's a mean dude.
Maybe there's something something else behind the whole reasoning for cutting him. But all right, so that wraps up our NFL talk. And next week we will get into some more free agency talk.
Next week we'll be talking about what happened in free agency.
Exactly. And that wraps up our episode 5. Thank you for tuning in. We hope that you guys are back with us next week. And don't forget to join our bracketology bracket for the March Madness. Like I said, the link will be in the our Instagram bio for that ESPN bracket challenge. So like I said as well, the winner will be announced on the podcast. Thanks for listening, and tune in again next week.